Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we're going to be doing a review for Ultimate Spider-Man number 15. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's talk about the creative team. We have writer Jonathan Hickman with guest artist David Messina, colors by Matthew Wilson, letters by Corey Petit. In this issue, the Ultimate Sandman attacks. As the dust settles from the recent events, Peter, MJ, and the kids take a family vacation, but nowhere is safe for Ultimate Spider-Man. So we are definitely looking at a lot of the fallout from the prior arc where Spider-Man and Harry were being hunted by the Sinister Six. Craven managed to kill Harry, and Spider-Man was unable to stop him. I guess I should say Peter, because we do have two Spider-Men running around right now. Richard has taken the black suit, and Peter, of course, running around in his normal spider suit. So very interesting. I like the small pause on this one. It feels like this is an issue to kind of reset everything. The time does continue, right? Time definitely marches on as we await the arrival or the return of the Maker. But I really enjoy this. David Messina has been a guest artist in multiple issues, and I feel like he really knows how to capture the essence of what Marco Cicchetto and Jonathan Hickman had built on this. So I really appreciate that it feels very similar, right? Even though it looks definitely looked a little bit different. David Messina is really good at drawing like these quirky little characters, which are a lot of fun. And then, of course, Jonathan Hickman just writing these goofy kind of adventures in the middle of this like very serious stuff. It's also very cool to see Peter and Richard, kind of both of them being Spider-Man. And then, of course, we do have to touch in with what's going on with the Kingpin and Uncle Ben and the paper. Uh, a lot of intrigue, a lot of things that may not be resolved very quickly. There is the Kingpin sets out something in motion, right? In the previous issues, the paper had published stuff under the name Ben Riley, which of course we all know as one of the better, one of the Easter eggs for Spider-Man. And the Kingpin takes measures which are really over the top. They really gone all out. So Jonathan Hickman's really good at giving us these like bombastic reveals and just like really interesting ideas that feel so grand. But in the end, um, yeah, in the end, they just kind of really work with this world. So let me know which cover you picked up if you have read this issue of Ultimate Spider-Man. And I can't wait to see what else is coming. As always, hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Absolute Green Lantern #1. This is a new book from DC Comics, a new title in the Absolute line of DC Comics, and I am very excited to get to talk about it. This book is written by Al Ewing, with art by Janoy Lindsay, and letters by Lucas Gattoni. In this issue, Al Ewing, and Janoy Lindsay get cosmic in the absolute universe. Without the core, without the ring, without the willpower, what is left is the absolute Green Lantern. That's right. I was very excited to get into this one. As you guys, if you are following along on the channel, I'm reading every absolute title and I'm really enjoying all of them for different reasons. They all have their different vibes. They all have different things that I find appealing. And I think one of the things that I wanted to out of this one was how was Al Ewing and the team gonna twist and turn the Green Lantern mythology. And as far as I'm concerned, they really knocked it out of the park on this first issue, just because how different this feels, how weird and cosmic things are getting. It's a very, very different approach to the Green Lantern mythos. But there's still a lot of, there's still a few familiar threads, still a few familiar characters. You can probably tell from the cover, we're following Hal, we're following John Stewart, and we're following Joe. If you're not familiar with all those characters, don't you worry. We get enough in here to really be introduced to this whole new world. So you don't need to go. Yeah, I mean, you should go back and read some of the stuff. Like Far Sector and stuff like that, where you were introduced to Green Lantern Joe Bennett. But if you're not familiar with any of that stuff, don't you worry. The team here has got you covered. Um, Al Ewing, Al Ewing is really good at having these like cosmic ideas. I feel like the cosmic world is where he truly shines. Like this weird mythology, the ideas of death and decay. I think all those concepts really fall right into his wheelhouse, and this is kind of what this book is all about, right? After a city has been kind of destroyed and decimated, and we're finding out what's going on. Hal Jordan's just trying to get to some sort of normalcy. But what's happened to the other people that were in that city, which include Joe and John, um, and what has changed about them, about these characters? What are these characters without having the order or the guidance of the Green Lantern Corps? And then what is the Green Lantern power in this world? There's a lot of really interesting questions, a lot of things that we're going to dive into. Daniel Lindsay, I first started seeing his art in the Superboy, the Men of Tomorrow miniseries, which is, if you have read it, like he draws a very cool, distinct style, very dynamic, very much things flow very cool because he does both, like pretty much everything, pencils and colors and everything. Like it's a really united vision of what things should look like, and I really really appreciate that because I think it gives the book a distinct look, especially for a book like the Green Lantern where color is so important. I think that like the team really nails that here. So I'm very excited for this one. I'm very excited for people to talk about it more and understand. This is the sixth book now in the Absolute line, and so far I'm really enjoying all of them. Right, we talked about Absolute Martian Manhunter um, in the past week, which was extended to a 12 issue series from a 6 issue series. Absolute Flash debuted like phenomenally. And then, of course, the main books, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, have all kind of closed out their first arc. So, what a success, I think, for DC Comics overall. I don't think all these books are going to be for everyone. But I think each book is interesting enough in its own way to find its audience. And Green Lantern definitely clears that bar as well. So, hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Resurrection Man Quantum Karma Book 1. This is a new book from DC Comics from the DC Black Label imprint. This is written by Rambi with art by Anand RK and Jackson Butch Weiss, with Mike Spicer on colors, Aditya Bidikar. Geese does the first page, which is it's a very different design. It's a little bit of a recap of who is the Resurrection Man. So if you don't know anything about the Resurrection Man, don't you worry. This book's got you covered. Which, going into this, I didn't know jack about the Resurrection Man. So in this book, he is back. Mitch Shelley, the Resurrection Man, has led thousands of lives, and with each unexpected death and resurrection comes a new superpower. But after living a life to its natural conclusion, Mitch Shelley is awoken by a new purpose and power, saving the universe. Follow the Resurrection Man through time as he fights against a monster of his own creation, Gasha Dokuro, a sadistic World War II internment camp commander who has inherited a twisted version of Shelley's powers. The lines of cosmic order will begin to blur, and no good deed goes unpunished. And whatever the cause, whatever the consequence, this much is true. Resurrection Man is dying to save you. I went into this not knowing anything. I didn't even read the synopsis. And I think the first praise I'm gonna give this book is that it really gave me everything that I needed to understand and know the story. It explained who the Resurrection Man is, how his powers kind of work, or at least how his resurrection comes into play. I really love the idea of like this character who, whatever thing killed him, that's kind of what his powers are inspired by in the next life. which is pretty bonkers, right? But what happens when you die a natural death? I think Rambi set out to explore that. But all this is just wrapped up in this really cool story about family and resurrection and coming back and change. The art itself is bananas. I After every turn of the page, and I can't wait to see this actually like in print, because of course we're reading digital from DC previews that they send over. But man, oh man, the art team went really hard on this. Like not only the colors from Mike Spicer, but just the detail from Anon, like just the way that things are put on the page, the paneling, the expressions on the characters' faces, and then these really far out ideas that are trying like somehow have to be put on a page. It's very, very cool. I really, really enjoy this one. I did not realize. I mean, I should have known. Ram V is one of my favorite writers at the moment, and right now we have, I believe, it should be 3 issues of Resurrection Man total. But I'm not sure how long the series is going to be. But I think you definitely want to check this out if you're looking for something that does not require a lot of continuity knowledge. If you're looking for something that does not require a lot of buy-in when it comes to like, you have to have read all these other prior issues or steep them just like a different story. This book stands alone itself so well, and that's something that the Black Label has managed to do time and time again. And I really, really praise DC for that, because they are the ones that are in charge of like, how do we make this book just how do we invite new readers to check out our stuff uh, when a lot of our characters require a little bit of knowledge from prior stuff, right? And this is exactly how you do it. You give the reader everything they need in just one book. I'm really, really excited and hyped for the rest of the series. Uh, yeah, Rambi, whether it's New Gods or some of his independent work, you guys have heard me talk about a lot of his books on the channel, anyways. So make sure to go check out all that work, but also pick up Resurrection Man Quantum Karma. Hello, everyone. Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, let's come back home for Absolute Superman number 6 from DC Comics, part of the Absolute line over at DC Comics. This is written by Jason Aaron with guest artists Carmine Di Giandomenico, Ulises Arreola on colors, letters by Becca Carey. In this issue, we have the secret origin of Absolute Superman. Something strange happened in the American heartland several years ago, something that brought fear and darkness to a small town in Kansas, and forever changed the lives of one kindly couple. Welcome to Smallville. So yeah, we left off last week with last month we got the secret origin of what happened to Krypton, and then also we left off with Kal-El going back to Smallville, but we didn't really know in this iteration of the world how Smallville is related to him, what's happened, and Jason Aaron just manages to tell you all that stuff in about 32 pages, and it's such a compelling story. Not only Kal-El landing on Earth, introducing the Kents, introducing Smallville as its own like place, which Smallville is an iconic location in the DC universe, right? So it's got to be treated with respect, and I think the team just really goes all out. Now, I'm a big fan of Giandomenico's art, so it was a welcome addition to the team. Uh, the style is very similar to the main artist, so I think Rafa Sandoval and Giandomenico have a very similar style overall, where the way they approach storytelling in comics. So it doesn't look very different, but you definitely can feel there's a few things that change, and you could definitely tell that there was a different artist. Now, what happens to Kal-El after he goes through months of isolation, goes through months of landing in a new place, and then also goes through this new change, right? This yellow sun giving him this extra power. He loses Soul, the AI that's kind of helping him out regulate everything because it's got a recharge. And then also, what troubles are the Kents going through? What's going on with them? What's going on with the farm? And how is Lazarus involved in all of this? Just another great issue. I really, really love the relationship. Like, a lot of the baggage already comes with a lot of the emotional baggage, I guess, already comes with my prior knowledge of like the relationship between Clark and his parents. So it's really fun to kind of recontextualize all this. And I just think that there are some panels in here, there are some events that take place in this comic that are just really, really cool. As a fan of Superman and just as a fan of comics, I every time I read one of these absolute issues, I'm like, well, this one's kind of the coolest one. So yeah, it's really fun. We have 6 absolute titles now. We started with the Trinity, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and now as of the release of this video and as of the release of this issue of Superman, we also have Absolute Flash, Absolute Martian Manhunter, and Absolute Green Lantern. So what a wonderful world they are building here. Everything's still very much disconnected, but I think it should stay that way for a little while. We don't need an Absolute Justice League book just yet. Maybe let's hold off for a few months, maybe a year, until we can really get to know these characters and get steeped in their new mythology, and then we can see like how they would even work together. And also the mystery of this book as to like what is really behind Lazarus continues to emerge. So this is just a perfect kind of button on that first arc for Absolute Superman. So hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Daredevil Cold Day in Hell #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. This is with a story by Charles Soule and Steve McNiven, dialogue by Charles Soule, art by Steve McNiven, letters by Clayton Cowell. Now, this is kind of an out of continuity story. So if you're wary of that, think of this kind of like a maybe Nels Worlds or an Old Man Logan type of thing. I wish I talked about this before, and I'll get into the review in a second. I wish Marvel had an imprint similar to DC Black Label to very easily differentiate between stuff that's happening and stuff that's specifically canon, kind of like they have a separation between the normal universe and the DC universe. I mean, the normal universe and the Ultimate Universe. But regardless, this book was fantastic. So let me give you a quick synopsis, and we'll get into the review itself. After a horrific series of events, the world is in shambles. Matt Murdock is old, and his powers have faded to nothing. Matt will not, however, sit by and watch his fellow New Yorkers suffer, so instead of swinging around the city with his Billy Club line, he's laying soup at the food center for the poor. But when a mysterious, wrinkly old man interrupts a secret convoy causing an explosion, a deadly gas fills Hell's Kitchen, and this tale takes a turn that will change how you look at the Men Without Fear. So if you've been kind of keeping up and with the lives and everything, I've really been into Daredevil books. I recently read The Men Without Fear for our comic book club. We also recently read Daredevil Born Again. I'm catching up in the current Daredevil, and of course, if you're watching our reviews weekly for Daredevil Born Again, the TV series, very much. I just love Daredevil. He's a great character, and a story like this, really, we have just such a great team. I mean, Charles Soule, terrific scribe, but Steve McNiven just really adds something to this world of like a little bit of the gravitas. He draws Matt as old, but not like it's not a caricature of an old person. It just looks like somebody that has lived a rough life, that's weathered, but they're still trying to, the whole world itself, as McNiven draws it, just looks bleak and grim, and you would believe that something terrible has happened. The world itself is just, there's so much going on. There's a really interesting way that McNiven's doing paneling here. Like, there are some things that Matt, although he doesn't have his powers, just because of that doesn't mean that he still doesn't notice things about around the city. So there are like some smaller panels that kind of highlight some of the things that Matt is noticing around with his other senses. There's an interesting conversation, but then there's some really big reveals. And, I think that Matt Murdock is definitely a fighter, right? Whether he has his powers or not, whether he's able to tell whatever's going on. And then, of course, with this explosion and this change, I just, you never know what's going to happen. And it's done in such a cool way. I love the idea of this book. of having Daredevil maybe have one more fight in him. Charles Soule tells a great story here. Everything just really adds up, and there's a lot of high stakes here. There's a lot of Easter eggs. Charles Soule has written a long run of Daredevil, so he's very familiar with the character. He's also a lawyer, so also very familiar with lawyering. Um, and like I mentioned, Stephen McNiven just one of the best at doing this sort of story, where it needs to be, you need to get down and gritty, and there's a lot of fights and a lot of movement, and it's just very dynamic, especially a character like Matt Murdock. Even though he is, even though he's older, there's still a lot of fight left in this boy from Hell's Kitchen. You know, who are these adversaries? Who is still around and a support? And then just whenever you think that things cannot get any more messed up, the team manages to surprise you at every single turn. So this is very exciting. This is going to be a three issue story. The issues are around 32 pages, and then in the back of the book, you get to see a little bit of the script, a little bit of how the team kind of put the book together, which is very interesting. I love when we have some nice little back matter. The coloring itself, I haven't seen McNiven do his own colors in a little while, and it just really works. Like everything just looks like dirty, and you can almost smell and feel the grime of the city, the pollution, this deadly gas just kind of happening. And I think that that the other part that really adds to this book is the narration that we get from Matt all throughout, because it really works. I think that Clayton Cowles does such a good job with the lettering and the word balloon placement, because this is a very dynamic book, as a Daredevil story should be. So, yeah, the last page of this, it will just leave you wanting more. But then again, we have to wait for two more issues. So, I might do these monthly if it's only going to be three. But this is going to read great as a collection as well. So, if you're somebody that for whatever reason can't get to the shop right now, make sure to put this on your list or ask your shop to give you the collection once it's done. I bet this is going to be collected in a really, really cool way. So, hello everyone, Danny here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, let's talk about Ultimate Wolverine number 3. This is a new book from Marvel Comics, written by Chris Conlon with art by Alessandro Capuccio, colors by Brian Valenza, letters by Corey Petit. We continue on this road, and in this issue, we have Wolverine versus Gambit and Kitty Pryde. The Winter Soldier leads a strike against two members of the opposition, Kitty Pryde and Gambit, but the duo recognize the man behind the mask. So we know his backstory. Kitty and Gambit know his backstory, but the Wolverine does not know where he comes from, and that's what makes this really exciting, right? We have this Winter Soldier whose mind has been wiped, and the Rasputin family is just kind of using him for their own shenanigans, their own dealings. But overall, it's really fun to kind of starting to encounter multiple times, multiple people that he knows from the past, right? This Wolverine is not just all about violence. He had a past. He was somebody before he became this Winter Soldier. So I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Will Logan recover his memories? I think with any version of Wolverine and Logan, memories are a very thematic. The loss of memories are something that he's always struggled with. So it's really interesting to have this in this context. Of course, we have two of my favorite mutants from the normal, the 616, Gambit and Kitty Pryde. So really fun to see them in this Ultimate Universe as well. And of course, they are not going to be easy prey for the Wolverine. So very exciting stuff. Alessandro Capuccio draws some of the most just amazing bonkers stuff. Whether it's a big fight, I really like the way that he illustrates both Gambit's abilities and the way that the Wolverine moves throughout the pages. Very much in an animalistic fashion, very savage. But I think the standout for me is just the things that he manages to accomplish with the look of Kitty Pryde's powers, right? Facing through different things and using those things to just make everything look a little bit, and take that to the next level. Whenever Kitty Pryde starts facing through things is really fun. Of course, we also have Natasha who's trying to help these guys out, but we don't know how the opposition will be able to stand up because they are in a very very tough position. This book to me feels like the one with the least advantage for our heroes. Like hope is almost gone from this one, I feel. It's very very interesting. It's an interesting juxtaposition to some of the other ultimate books where every once in a while the ultimates will get a win, or Spider-Man will get a win, but I don't know how or when that might happen for some of the mutants that we see here. Um, the picture's still not very clear on how the mutants are spread out throughout the world in this Ultimate Universe, but we are definitely getting the most amount of mutants here, other than of course the Ultimate X-Men book. But that one's completely different. It's I love how different they are, even though they're both about mutants. So let me know if you read this, what you thought about it down in the comments. Let me know which cover you picked up. I really like picking up the normal covers. It's just a nice treat to have everything kind of look very very similar on my boxes. And I just love the aesthetic of this Ultimate Universe, like the design of the covers. So if you have read this, once again, let me know down in the comments. Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Doom's Division number 1. This is a One World Under Doom tie-in. You can't really see it because of this cover. This is the Peach Momoko variant. This book is written by Yoon Ha Lee, with art by Min-Kyu Young, Mataya Iacono on colors, letters by Travis Lanham. I was very interested to check this book out because I'm trying to read all of the Underworld One World Under Doom tie-ins just to figure out, okay, how many of these tie-ins are really related to this, and how many of these tie-ins are just kind of very peripheral to the world. So in this issue, Tiger Division roars into action for Doom. Dr. Doom rules the planet, but instead of chaos, he's created a world peace. Where does that leave the Tiger Division, South Korea's foremost defenders? As agents of the National Intelligence Service under White Fox, they're ordered to uphold the New World Order with the help of some new team members. But not everyone is content with Doom's utopia. Tensions are high, and the stakes are higher in One World Under Doom. Brought to you by Yoon Ha Lee, award-winning writer of the Machinist series, Empire series, who made this his comic debut in the X-Men Wedding Special number 1, and all-star artist Min-Kyu Young. So yeah, this book is very much on the periphery of everything, but I feel like it does very closely tie into One World Under Doom. It has a lot of characters that you may not be familiar with, like Luna. If you've been reading like stuff like Agents of Atlas and stuff like that, I think you might know some of these characters. But you have Luna Snow, Taiguchi, the General, Gun R2, Lady Bright, Mr. Enigma. They all make up the Tiger Division. But what I really thought was interesting was how they're pretty much flipping the script on this, right? The Tiger Division, of course, they are heroes, and they feel like they have to do right by the people and the people that they serve. But what about when those people turn to Doom and they are loyal to Doom? And Doom has created this world where things are not, things are different. Things are under his rule. Things are not as chaotic, and they are being praised for what they're doing as long as they kind of follow the same road. You know, I think it's going to be very interesting to follow this series. I don't think it's very very closely tied in. I will say the art looks great. I think all the character designs look somewhat like they look like a lot of fun. Um, I think I'm gonna wait to read this as a trade, just because I'm not very familiar with a lot of the characters. So that's probably the heavier lift for me. Just getting to know or getting reacquainted with some of these characters. I read Greg Pog's Agents of Atlas, but that was a little while back. So some of these characters have a little bit of crossover. Not everyone, but I am interested in seeing the fallout from the Doom series on this one. So yeah, I would not hesitate to pick this up to see if it's right up your alley. But if it's not, I would completely understand. I think this book, it's a little bit more divisive when it comes to some of the other books out there that are tie-ins of Doom. But I know there's some pretty hardcore fans of these characters, like Arrow and White Fox. They have their own fan base, so I think there's a lot of people that definitely would look forward to these. So if you read this issue, let me know what you thought about it. Let me know which cover you picked up. There's some really, really cool ones. I did not want to pick up more than one cover because I'm trying to cut down on so many, especially because we've had a couple of weeks of like really heavy pulls. But as I mentioned, let me know all that stuff down in the comments. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Fantastic Four number 30. This is a One World Under Doom direct tie-in. Now, of course, there will be spoilers for issue number 2 of One World Under Doom because this issue deals like directly with some of the fallout from that stuff. So let's talk about the creative team. We have Ryan North on writing duties, pencils by Corey Smith, inks by Oren Jr., colors by Jesus Albertov, and letters by Joe Caramagna. The main cover by Joshua Cassara and Dean White. We have some other covers that you may see later on, but if not, go check them out. They're really, really cool. In this issue, we have the Fantastic Three. After Ben Grimm has suffered a terrible and very public defeat at the hands of Doom, he's left lost and adrift and more vulnerable than he's ever been in years. And when a trip to New York goes wrong and his fate suddenly turns from bad to worse, Ben has never been more vulnerable and soon takes a shocking shortcut he won't be able to undo. This is one thing in Alicia's story you won't forget very soon. So, yeah, of course, we have Alicia Masters Grimm, who is Ben's wife. They have kids that they've adopted. But what happens to the Thing when he cannot be the Thing any longer, right? Doom has cured him of his condition of being surrounded, of being made up of rocks. The one thing that Reed Richards could never do, or maybe he could, and he was just holding himself back. That's an interesting debate that is around there. But yeah, what happens to Ben now that he's just kind of a normal person? Well, he hits rock bottom. Um, he goes on a date with Alicia Masters. They go out on a date in New York. Unfortunately, they're being held up. Somebody's trying to rob them in an alley, and Ben instinctively takes action. But obviously, he doesn't have his powers anymore. He doesn't have the rocks to protect them anymore. So he does end up being hurt. But what happens then? Who is he now that he cannot be the Thing, especially after so many years? And he turns to one person that I didn't realize how much baggage there was with this individual, but it is Ben going down the wrong path, and I think Ryan North very clearly makes that. The art team really embellishes that by just giving you everything that happens after that big incident. It turns a little bit darker, turns a little bit more somber, and then of course you have these exaggerated grins and uh, the idea that Ben cannot be happy on his own, does not have the confidence that he was when he was the Thing. Um, that's what really gets here, and Alicia has to become involved more into what's going on. Yeah, like I mentioned, the art team. There are some panels that are they're very eerie. They just look weird, and it doesn't look right, and you understand why once you kind of get through the story. So I'm very happy to have jumped back on board with the Fantastic Four series once this big event started taking place, because Ryan North is such a fun writer. Like, just he goes for entertainment, and I just really love seeing these little weird stories, these one-off things, because the Fantastic Four book has been one of those titles that, even though there's an overarching larger plot of everything, each issue feels very episodic, and really fun to just kind of pick up, even if you're not caught up on everything. So yeah, really enjoyed this one. Very excited to see where we go from here. Very excited to see if Ben can become the Thing again. Should he become the Thing again? I don't know. It might be interesting to leave him as just Ben for a while. But that's just me kind of thinking. So, anyways, as I mentioned, if you have read this, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And stay tuned because we have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone.